And no doubt about it, we have the absolute best intro music of all the shows, bar none, actually. So, but thanks for tuning in again. We appreciate you, Title Tribe, for watching this episode, week 8 of TGIF. This Guy's Fragile, where we're going to be breaking down all of the most recent injury update news that we can possibly get to you through a combination of the fantasy doctors, all the different people we follow on Twitter. And of course, just from that big, beautiful brain from the guy right next to me here, my man George, who's constantly surfing the web for the most recent updates. George, how's it going today, buddy?
Man, today's going fantastic. You know, that I got out of work a little early today. Wife and I are going to SeaWorld this evening. We're going to go do their Hollow Scream down in SeaWorld.
Nice.
So I got a good evening planned. It's going to be a fun day. I'm excited. I can't wait till 5 o'clock rolls around so she gets off work so we can go.
Hopefully there's no zombie dolphins.
I mean, if there's a zombie dolphin, I'll be forced to get a photo.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to post it on the Frankenstein channel of the Gilded Chat, where we have well over 220 people right now, and that number is growing every day. And where we talk about a lot of different random stuff. And I'm sure, being that our listener league is the Frankenstein Listener League, a zombie dolphin would be a hot topic in the channel. So, yeah, definitely. Also, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Ring the bell to get notifications when we start a show. And of course, I've got to mention our rivals so I can pay the bills and keep the lights on here. I saw George messing with the light up there right before the show, and it's all thanks to joinrival.com/Title Tribe, where it's the new evolution of fantasy sports betting. Essentially, like if George wants to say that Jalen Hurts is going to have an incredible game and he would start him over, say, Pat Mahomes, and I think that Pat Mahomes is going to have an incredible game, and I would start him over Jalen Hurts, we can just bet straight up who's going to score the most fantasy points. So that's joinrival.com/Title Tribe. Your first deposit of up to $200 will be matched, plus an additional $25 of free money just for using that link right there below my shoulder. Of course, find us on Twitter. That's at Rival Fantasy, at Toyless Titles, at JustinFF_, and at George Reed FF. All right, that was a mouthful.
You know what's awesome about Rival? Getting those emails Sunday evening saying you win your bet. Can't beat it. I'm just saying, cannot beat those emails.
Yep. I've been doing pretty well. I'm on quite a streak. I don't think that I've had a week yet where I've finished in the negatives. So the way I view those challenges is like if I had a fantasy roster and these two players were on my roster and I had to choose one to start, who would I start? So then, you know, sometimes when I'm asking those start-sit questions, it's not always about for my own team. Sometimes it's about who I want to place a bet on in Rival.
That's the way to do it.
Let's see. All right. So we can jump right into the injury news here. It looks like I got most of the house cleaning out of the way. I'm going to touch on a couple of things here in just a moment after we get through the quarterbacks. But at the very least, quarterbacks, one quarterback leagues, this is an extremely this isn't as important of a segment, but in two quarterback leagues or super flex leagues, this is always the section that a lot of people like to listen to. I'll go ahead and run through the ones that we know are definitely out. Justin Fields is out. Ryan Tannehill is out, which is really good for the Titans. The Predator is out. Deshaun Watson, he's already definitely out for this week. And then let's see. Daniel Jones has been reported as out, and I believe that's it that are definitely out. The one other one that's most likely out that I will mention here, though, is Kyler Murray. He has been back at practice this week, even taking first-team reps, and no limitations in practice. This does not mean that he's going to play this week, though, guys. We definitely need to stay tuned for more information. This is going to be a start-sit question for the guys on Sunday morning. George, actually, if you would, go ahead and talk a little bit about the start-sit show because, like I said, players like Kyler Murray, who could be a game-time decision, you guys should be able to get a lot of that information while they're asking the questions.
Yeah, so every Sunday morning from 10:30 to 12:30, Jason, Rich, and myself, sometimes we're joined by Justin, sometimes we're joined by Coach, sometimes we just have a guest. we sit down and we take all your start sit questions. We take your trade questions. We take your waiver questions. Any question that's fantasy football related, we will take. We will. It's like a little roundtable debate. We debate. There's lots of information between the three of us. We have all types of statistics, all types of analytics, all types of information about the player, about individual matchups, how well, a wide receiver matches up against, their cornerbacks that they're going to be facing. We have weather updates. If there's any severe weather, we'll notify you about the severe weather that could impact, quarterbacks, wide receivers, kickers. Should enhance defense, should negatively affect the defense. Like all types of questions, we have all your answers. Every Sunday, 10:30 to 12:30 on YouTube /Toys the Titles is where you can find it. It's the Title Time Show. We call it the Title Time Show because it's our Title Tribe show. We do it for the tribe, and we want to help you guys win your championships.
You know what? I just thought of something. I think it would be awesome to get like a suit and tie for Rich for the weather segment and do like a whole segment on weather. I think that would be hilarious. And I mean, of all of you guys on that show, he is the most executive type, so which it's actually not really saying a lot, I guess, but but
I do own two businesses, Justin, but okay.
No, I know, but I guarantee you don't show up to business meetings in a suit and tie.
No.
You're not the executive type.
No. So like today, we had a meeting today. I showed up in a pair of shorts that were covered in paint and holes and a pair of shoes that had mud on them from the day before. Like, that's just how I roll, though.
George, if you owned several multi-million-dollar businesses, you would never wear a suit and tie. That's what I mean by that.
No, I would. Actually, if I owned a multi-million-dollar business, I would absolutely wear a shirt and tie to work every day.
Really?
No, full stop. No BS. Oh, absolutely. I don't mind shirt and ties.
That's interesting to me. I wouldn't have pictured it. All right. Anyway, so we're kind of getting off track.
Oh yeah, right? we're off the rails, but I just do want to throw this out to you.
Okay.
When I used to work for AAA, and my job for AAA was I was the inbound call receiver. So basically, you break down, you call 1-800 AAA help. I'm the guy on the side of the line getting all the information. Mm-hmm. Every single day, we were required to wear a shirt and tie, even though all we were doing is answering phones. We were never really seen by the general public. We were literally downstairs in the basement in our call center, but we had to wear a shirt and tie every day to work.
Wow. Yep. Now they're all working from home. Wearing
Probably.
All right. Let's see. Other injuries at the quarterback position. Jalen Hurts is in. I mean, it's Jalen Hurts, but they're saying that it's a left knee sprain. He did wear a brace during the whole second half of their last game, and he still absolutely tore it up. So the next new one on the list here is Baker Mayfield. They said that he also has a knee injury.
He played last night, so it's
more sore than concerning. Yep, exactly. And he actually looked pretty decent, especially by Baker Mayfield standards that we're used to. But let's see. I don't really see anything else on the list that's really worth noting. Do you see anything that I'm missing here? Maybe Jimmy G?
I'm not even really concerned about Jimmy G, to be honest. The one that I just want to touch on real quick, Trevor Lawrence, he's got the knee issue. He's got that left knee sprain. The doctors here said that he could struggle with mobility, but if you watched him the last game that the Jaguars played, he looked fine. So other than that, I don't see anybody else on here that we're overly concerned with.
Brock Purdy, he is still in the concussion protocol, but he's also practicing and especially going through individual drills and position drills and stuff at practice. So it seems like he's getting better and getting through the concussion. But again, I think that's going to be one of those game time things where you're going to need to know Sunday morning. So we'll see you in a couple of days. If you've got Brock Purdy questions, that also would fall in line with Brandon Ayuk questions or George Kittle questions as well. I mean, having Brock Purdy or Sam Darnold, I mean, kind of a little bit of a difference there, you would imagine. But and we'll get to the other receiver, Deebo, in just a minute when we get to the wide receivers. But before I move on to the running backs, I also want to mention patreon.com/Title Tribe. It's just another way for you guys to support us. We greatly appreciate all the support we've gotten from the Title Tribe. And if you want to, we're getting close to that point where you got to start considering, the championship rings or the belts for your leagues. So don't forget trophysmack.com/title tribe to get you a little discount for rings and belts and stuff when you place your order through trophysmack.com/title tribe. George, what do we have in way of running back injuries for week 8?
So I'm gonna read real quick through the guys who 100% out. They're all on short-term IR. Khalil Herbert, Kyron Williams, Damian Harris, Devon Achane, James Conner. Check your waivers. If any of these guys are on waivers outside of Damian Harris, I think they're all worthy of being rostered.
Yeah.
So if that's all I'm going to say on this, just check your waivers. Herbert, Williams, Achane, Conner, especially Conner, because I believe he'll be back. I think he's eligible to come back next week. So check, and I think he'll be coming back, and I think there's a good chance he might be coming back along with Kyler Murray next week.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I'm in a rival league with my wife Lori, and again, that's joinrival.com/title tribe, where you can play season long fantasy football as well. They don't just do the prop bet stuff, but she was able to get Devon Achane off of the waiver, or off of free agency. He even cleared waivers. I was pretty jealous because I'm in the same league and I completely missed it. So, yeah, good point, man. You got to be looking out for that sort of stuff, because some people are desperate. If they only have one win to this point, they can't really afford to wait. They need to get points now. So sometimes they make moves like that.
Yep. So another guy. So those are everybody who's out. Now here's some guys that we have a moderate level of concern for. We expect most of them to play, but just keep an eye. Austin Eckler, he's got a high ankle sprain. We're not quite sure if there's a new injury or if it's just a lingering injury. 100% expect him to play, but there is moderate concern being that it's an ankle. Definitely can affect his mobility on the field. Saquon Barkley is another one. He's dealing with an elbow issue. It's a left elbow issue, likely a contusion. 100% he's going to play. Don't know how effective he's going to be, especially behind that line, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Something that really concerned me. Last week we had Bijan Robinson. They've got him listed down here with a headache. He had a cluster headache week 7. Check from concussion from week 6 is the notes. I'm kind of concerned. I don't know what's going on with Robinson. There was nothing reported prior to the game, and then we found out in the second half of the game, he's ill, he's not feeling right. Anytime you're dealing with a head injury, whether it be a headache or concussion, it's kind of concerning. He got one carry last week for 3 yards. So that's something that I'm super, super concerned about.
Yeah, that's a fair point, because and we kind of skipped over it. This is my fault. I meant to ask you about last week. You had mentioned something about concussions. I'll go ahead and talk about it now since we're talking about Bijan. But you said you gave a stat. I don't know if you remember the stat, but it was something like less than 20% of players that have been diagnosed with a concussion this season actually played the next week as well. And to my understanding, from what I looked up afterward, most of those were quarterbacks that actually did play the next week. Almost every player at any other position is sitting out the next week. Bijan did not sit out. It is possible that he cleared the concussion protocol, because there's so much about it that, can be kind of hidden and looked over, and then maybe the symptoms he showed were more medical, like in the way of like the flu or something, which is what we were led to assume in the second half of that game, but it actually was still left over from the concussion. So yeah, man, it is very scary.
What really concerns me with Bijan is they said that it was a headache. They tested him for concussion. He cleared concussion protocol.
Right.
But then he started having symptoms.
Right.
My concern is he started having these headaches, but never actually self-reported. Like you have guys, Javon Holland, for example, from Miami. He was checked for concussion, cleared concussion protocol. The next day, he self-reported, "Hey, I'm still having symptoms."
Yeah.
So now they put him back in the concussion protocol. My concern is Bijan Robinson had a concussion. He cleared the protocol, which no fault of anybody. Like, I'm not blaming a doctor
Right.
that he cleared or
Right.
the organization's not out to, and Bijan Robinson's great. No, it's none of that at all. But
Yeah.
I'm afraid he started having symptoms, and instead of reporting, he just didn't say nothing.
Right.
And hoping, hey, maybe these symptoms will go away, maybe everything will clear up by game time, and they didn't.
Right. Yeah,
And
I
so
agree. You can't put that on the doctors unless he would have played for Miami, and then I would have.
exactly. So that's just my my concern there with Bijan is it's not necessarily a headache. I think it's more concussion related.
Right.
He had symptoms and just didn't self-report. But that's enough about talking about the backup running back for the Falcons that they drafted in the first round with this 8th overall pick. Next on our list, Jerome Ford. He popped up on the injury report with an ankle injury. He missed last week. It's concerning for a right high ankle. But he was back at practice today, which kind of surprised a lot of people. He's a true game time decision. I don't think he'll play personally, but
yeah, I
who am
agree.
I?
And even if he does, I doubt that he plays all that much. Hunt is definitely capable in that
Yep.
backfield. So, um,
So I'll roll through a couple more that just to keep an eye on, and then guys, I'll let you go over the ones that are green. The guys that just they're injured, but we're not really worried about them at all.
right.
David Montgomery, he's dealing with a rib cartilage injury. He was out week 7. He's probably going to be out through their bye week. I don't expect him to play this week. The fantasy doctors have him listed as a 25% chance of playing. I'm lower than that. I think it's like a 10% chance. I don't think he plays.
Yeah.
Craig Reynolds, also for Detroit, has got a toe and hamstring issue. He's got a new hamstring strain, plus he's got turf toe. He played week 7. I expect him to play this week. And then the last one that I'll talk about real quick is Najee Harris for the Steelers. He's dealing with the hamstring injury. He suffered it in week 4. He should be getting close to 100% at this point. Expect him to play, but just do know that he is dealing with the hamstring injury.
All right. The other newer guys that are just added to the list this week that we're not really concerned about. Raheem Mostert is in. It says mild ankle sprain, no concerns. Austin Eckler is in, high ankle, new injury or lingering. Either way, they think he's in. And I say because of the matchup, there's a pretty good chance we see a heavy dose of him if he is actually healthy enough. We'll know early on in that game. Unfortunately, it's Austin Eckler, so you have to play him if he plays. Saquon, left elbow injury, likely contusion versus a sprain, so that's actually a good thing. And then he did continue to play the rest of that game after injuring his elbow, and he continued to play really well. So there's really no concern there. And then let's see, who else was it? Donta Foreman.
Donta Foreman
landed hard on the lower back. And hopefully it's nothing, but according to the doctors, they think that he's most likely in for this week. So let's see. Is there any other big names on here? Javonte Williams, they say, is in, hip flexor. That he played last week on it, so he'll be playing again this week. They just haven't taken him off the list yet. Jahmyr Gibbs played last week on the hamstring and actually played really well. He was the lone bright, shiny point. Maybe Amon-Ra had a few big plays, but other than that, it was all Gibbs for the Lions last week. Tony Pollard, it's likely an AC sprain. He's still played last week on it. I look for him to have a big game this week as well. Roschon Johnson is in now, and not only that, but Roschon Johnson is in whenever we just talked about how Donta Foreman is most likely in and playing, but banged up. So maybe Roschon finally gets a chance. If you're in a league where you're kind of hurting at running back and you need big points potential, if Roschon gets an opportunity, he actually has huge play potential. So there is a chance he could score big points. Breece Hall, 100% in, and really kind of pissing off Dalvin Cook from the sounds of it. Dalvin is talking to the team about a potential trade because he went from losing carries in Minnesota and getting upset about it and wanting a trade, and going to New York and getting even less carries. So I guess that's just how the grass ain't always greener, even if it's the Jets. Let's see, especially if it's the Jets. Let's see, a knee injury to Dameon Pierce. It's a committee there anyway, but Pierce is the best of the committee, and he's in. Aaron Jones is in. I think that's it for the
Yeah, that's it.
running backs. Wide receivers. I'll talk about the new ones first, and then you can talk about the rest that are definitely in. But the new wide receivers on the list. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle both are new to the list. Hill is a mild hip flexor, but they say there's no concern. And again, it's Tyreek Hill. He could lose both hips, and he would probably still get 100 yards and touchdowns. Back strain and spasms for Jalen Waddle. I was really concerned when I saw the way that he was walking back to the locker room, but it turns out it was just spasms, luckily. And I'm not even that big of a Jalen Waddle guy. Like I was very adamant about that in the offseason, but when I saw him go down, it's like, man, you don't want to see guys get hurt like that. And then miraculously, he's back out there in the fourth quarter and doing his thing. So I was glad to see that. But they say that they're both likely fine for week 8. Christian Watson, right knee sprain. They say it's hard to trust him, but he is in. The reason it's hard to trust is just as much the rest of the wide receiving group there, because like they just have a whole lot of the same option in my mind. Like they've got like 4 wide receiver, borderline wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3s, and they're just all kind of stealing from each other.
Yep.
Neck strain, no details, but a short week for Chris Godwin, but he ended up playing and he played quite well. He scored a touchdown. If he would have looked up a half a second sooner on that Hail Mary, he would have had 2 touchdowns and the win. Jaden Reed, speaking of the same guy as Christian Watson, hamstring limited routes run in week 7, but they say he's in and he's going to be playing. So that's all of the new guys on the list. Who else is 100% in at wide receiver that we're not too concerned about, George?
So the ones we're not concerned about, Devonta Smith got a hamstring strain, limited routes run in week 7. 100% he's going to play this week. Tyler Lockett is dealing with a hamstring strain. There's no real concerns. They expect him to play. Cooper Kupp has got an ankle sprain in week 6. That probably led to him struggling in week 7. But they 100% expect him to play, as do I. Garrett Wilson for the Jets, he's dealing with an ankle sprain. There's really no details on that, but they expect him to play. DK Metcalf is dealing with a hip flexor and rib re-injury. He should be good to go for week 8. Chris Olave is dealing with a toe injury, most likely turf toe, likely grade 1. He's struggling, but they 100% expect him to play. Devontae Adams is dealing with an AC sprain. Real quick note, we're going to have Dr. Jesse Morse on next week.
I was just about to ask you to plug it.
I'm going to have him explain. So I'm seeing a lot of AC sprains.
Yeah, a lot.
So I'm going to have him make a mental note, Justin, because I'm going to forget. But I need him to go in detail. I want him to go in detail on AC sprains. So not only so I understand better what they are, but so those watching can understand when they hear an AC sprain. They have a better understanding of what the player is going through, how it affects the player, whether it's just a pain tolerance or if it actually limits the mobility of the shoulder or knee or whatnot. But Devonta Adams has a AC sprain, likely type 1. It does cause pain, and it's caused a dip in the performance, although he looked fantastic last week. T. Higgins is still dealing with his rib fracture. He should be good to go after their bye. I think they just had their bye, if I'm not mistaken. But he's 100%. He's playing. One of my favorite wide receivers from the Senior Bowl, I told him I really wanted to see him come to Miami to play the slot for us. I literally told him that. Tank Dell, dealing with a concussion. God, could you imagine Tyreek, Waddle, and Tank Dell all on the same team? Woohoo! He's cleared the concussion protocol. He'll be playing. Jordan Addison looked like a man amongst boys last week. He's got an ankle injury. It sounds mild. 100% they expect him to go. And last one, I got 2 more on here. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's dealing with an abdomen strain. It's not a sports hernia, thank God. It should get better each week. And the last one, not that it really matters a whole lot to a whole lot of people other than maybe Joe, Wandale Robinson from the Giants. He's got a knee injury. It's his post ACL. It's not 100% yet, but they 100% expect him to go. Possibly a good flex play. So
Yeah,
those are the guys we have on here that are 100% ready and good to go.
When Wandale is healthy, he actually does put up some decent flex points. It's just, man, you kind of hurt for those kind of guys. But next, I was going to have you plug Dr. Jesse Morse coming on next week. So you already did that. So for those
Had to work it
those
in.
of you that, those of you that don't know, he's one of the fantasy doctors that make out this list that we read from every week, and follow on Twitter as well. And so we're looking forward to that episode next Friday at 6 p.m. But the rest of the wide receivers on the list, the ones that are definitely out are Deebo Samuel. Sorry, there's no S on the end of that. Left hairline fracture, no location, but week 10 is the earliest that they expect him to come back. You hate it for that wide receiving core. It's like they can't just all stay healthy. But Deebo out until at least week 10 is concerning for your fantasy lineups. Zay Jones, so they've already ruled him out for this week. At least the fantasy doctors have.
It's been reported 100% he's out.
Okay. That said likely out 2 to 4 weeks, and that was from week 5. So they were already expecting in week 5 that he would be out until at least through week 9. So I think the fantasy doctors are already saying they think he'll be out next week as well. 2 to 4 weeks. So there still is a chance they could change their mind depending on how practice goes next week. Laviska Shenault, nobody cares about that one. Okay. Let's see. Is there anybody else? Let's see. Oh, here's some that you want to stay tuned for Sunday morning. DeAndre Hopkins right now is sitting at about 75% likely. They don't know if he's in or out yet, but that was a right hand injury. They're still awaiting details. I kind of thought by this point we would have details, but we don't have a lot of details on that one just yet. They were on bye last week. Let's see. Juju cleared the concussion protocol, they don't really know if he's cleared the concussion protocol just yet from the looks of it. They still don't. They have him at 50%, and then they have 50% in or out on Robert Woods as well with the rib fracture or cartilage issue. So Alec Pierce, again, another AC sprain is what they're guessing. There's no real details on that one. But when it comes to the Colts wide receiving core, you want to fire up Downs, whether or not Alec Pierce plays. And if Alec Pierce doesn't play, then that's just even more opportunity for Downs. But Downs is really starting to show out. And I'm really happy with the matchup this week. I'm starting him in a lot of leagues. So just throwing that out there. Tight ends. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So another wide receiver, he's not on this list, but just want to throw it out there. Like it only really affects people in deep leagues like 16, 18, 24. Justin Ross for the Kansas City Chiefs has been placed on the commissioner's exempt list. So he cannot practice and attend games while on the list. There's no real information about why he's on that list, but just want to let everybody know he's been placed on that list.
You go ahead and start in on the tight ends because I heard something on Justin Ross, but I want to make sure that it's legit before I say it.
Okay, so Dawson Knox for the Buffalo Bills, they played last night, so it's not really going to affect anybody over the weekend, but he's been placed on short-term IR, so it's officially Dalton Kincaid season, who absolutely was fantastic last night. Luke Musgrave of the Green Bay Packers, he's got a left ankle injury. He was spotted in a walking boot. He's been ruled out for the weekend. Zach Ertz has also been placed on short-term IR. Hello, Trey McBride. It's about to be your season as well. Zach Ertz is dealing with a quad issue. It's a quad strain, likely grade 2. He's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. Like I said, they've placed him on IR. The only other one that is 50-50 or less to play, Juwan Johnson, still dealing with a calf injury. They said that he could return week 8. They got him listed as a 50-50. Either way, I don't think anybody's trusting Juwan Johnson. Other guys who are banged up but 100% expected to play. Gerald Everett is dealing with a quad injury and a bruise. It's a bruise versus strain, but they expect him to play. Dallas Goedert has a groin strain. likely to play, but not at 100%. Sam Laporta is dealing with a calf strain. They're hopeful that it's a grade 1 strain. He played well in week 6. He's played well all year. David Njoku, he's got those burn injuries to his face and arm. He should be better after the bye, but they expect him to play. He's been dealing with it and playing through it, and is an absolute beast when it comes to that stuff.
All right, so Justin Ross, here's the news. The police were called out on Monday to his place of residence for a domestic battery charge.
Okay.
He has had his first court appearance, and he pled not guilty. The judge is requesting a jury trial. There are 2 misdemeanors that go along with this battery charge, along with a criminal damage charge, which is a felony charge. And that a criminal damage charge means that there was some kind of criminal property damage or personal damage of some sort that falls between the $1,000 and $25,000 level of damage. So something went on personal at home, and he got arrested for it. So it's not an injury thing for that one.
Wasn't there another player that just got arrested? Not arrested. I'm sorry. It was Chris Olave.
Yeah.
Actually, no, he did get arrested.
Yeah,
he got arrested for going 35 miles over the speed limit or something like that.
Yeah, 70 and a 35. It's the only thing I can think of there, and I haven't read the details on that one, and I'm not going to look it up at this point. But the only thing I can think of is maybe it was in a school zone or a construction zone, in which case, obviously, that's way more important.
But 35 over will get you arrested almost every time. It doesn't have to be a school zone or construction zone. No, it will. It's considered reckless driving.
I'm just saying from personal experience, it's not every time.
Well, Justin, tell Lori to not lead-footed, okay?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So
those are the 77 injuries that we covered this week. It was 16 quarterbacks, 22 running backs, 27 wide receivers, 8 tight ends for a total of 77 players.
Outstanding. And honestly, that number is a little bit lower than it was last week, if I remember right, or at least
last week was 84.
Yeah. So that's good. That's getting better. I like it when we don't see a lot of new injury stuff on there. So,
yep.
All right. Well, I think we've hit everything. Do you have anything else you want? Oh, you know what? I think I do want to add one more thing. So, I want to share my screen here and get to something that I want to share. I want to remind everybody about a giveaway that we're doing for a Yeti cooler. So,
yes.
So here is, you got it. Sorry. Here's the info on it. Where are we at? All right. Join this is how you enter to win this Yeti cooler. You guys see the Yeti cooler. It's like a $360 value or something like that, or $320. I don't know.
It sucks I'm not eligible for that cooler, by the way. I object because I'm not eligible for this cooler.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's see. So here's how you win the Yeti cooler. You join the Title Tribe on the Gilded channel. That's free, guys. We don't charge for the Gilded channel. Then you subscribe to the Toyless Titles YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Toyless Titles. Make sure you're subscribed on there. You're going to complete a 3-word phrase. Here's how you get the words for that 3-word phrase. There's going to be one word given out in each of the first 3 episodes on the flagship channel, or the flagship show on the channel, on Tuesday nights. And that's November 7th, November 14th, and November 21st. We're going to give away one word of our 3-word phrase each of those 3 days. Then once you get that 3-word phrase, you're going to email the phrase to toiletstitles@gmail.com. You're going to comment on each of the 3 episodes, on those 3 episodes on November 7th, 14th, and the 21st. And then the winner is going to be announced on November 28th. Now, when you comment on that episode, it can be any comment. We don't really care. We just need something for the algorithms. But you can comment something about George's nice shirt that he's wearing today. That wonderful orange Toyless Titles logo. But the winner will be announced on November 28th. Now, here's another little extra bit for you. If you're a Patreon, you're going to get extra entries. If you're a level 3 Patreon member, you get 3 more entries. If you're a level 5, you get 5 more entries. So the higher the level you are, the more entries you get, as long as you've also done all these other items right here on the list to qualify. So Pretty awesome prize right here. I'm glad that that John is leading the way on that one, and it's just a nice giveaway.
So I just want to update. We talked about it real quick earlier, and I got an opinion on the Yeti cooler as well. But I just got an update that said Kyler Murray is doubtful for Sunday. So like we talked about him earlier, most likely not playing this weekend. Don't get too excited, but definitely check your waiver wire, see if he's available, because if he is, he's worth a stash. Also, if you want, for that $1 million Patreon level that we have, I'll buy you a Yeti cooler. Just go ahead. Just saying, you don't even have to do all that work that Justin's asking, joining the Gilded, joining, subscribing, commenting. You don't have to do any of that. None of it. Just $1 million level Patreon, I'll buy you a Yeti cooler.
Yeah,
out of my own pocket. No big deal.
I'll even have Jessica use her label maker thing and put Toyless Titles logo and a Frankenstein logo on there. We'll deck it out for you.
It'll be done.
Another thing, the spooky squares have sold out. We gave away the last 10, I think, to different supporters in the Gilded channel. So the spooky squares are filled out. But if I happen to win one of those spooky squares, then I'm going to be sending $30 to the Yeti winner so that they can fill up that Yeti their first time around. So
there you go.
So there's something else. So now you guys got to root for me to win the spooky squares.
I'm always rooting for you, Justin. Always rooting for you.
I like it. All right. So that's it for TGIF. For George Reed at George Reed FF. This is Justin at JustinFF_. Good luck in week 8, and we can't wait to see you again for the week 9 episode with Dr. Jesse Morse.